Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Today, we're honored to have, once again, Maurice Mitchell. Maurice Mitchell is the National Director of the Working Families Party. He's a visionary leader in several social, racial, and economic justice movements. Maurice. Last time I spoke to you was out there at Netroots Nation 2024, and we had a whole lot of hopes then. Your thoughts? Let's get into, before we get started, what I want to discuss today.
Absolutely.
Let's get into your thoughts.
Well, what can I say? I have a lot of hope in the people. November's election did not go the way that we wanted it to go. However, what I've noticed is that so many people, even some people that voted for Donald Trump, are recognizing what's taken place, are recognizing the extent of the theft, the extent of the rank corruption. And I'm seeing on the ground a movement that is building that gives me hope that the people will do the duty that only the people can do in putting and checking an authoritarian. That's what I want to say. I know. The past month or plus has been really disconcerting for a lot of people, has been disturbing for a lot of people, but the grassroots are ready to lead in this moment. I know sometimes it could be disheartening to look at Capitol Hill and be desirous of elected officials to show a certain type of leadership and a certain type of public courage. But I just want to remind people that, in general, politicians aren't fonts of public courage, and whenever politicians steal their back, it's often because the people and mass movements have stepped in and gotten emotion. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that all over the country, not just in quote unquote blue places, but we're seeing it in all types of communities, because people are really concerned that the wealthiest person on the planet is engaged in the most egregious theft and abuse and corruption imaginable on behalf of Donald Trump and MAGA. And so I think and know that we will stop it through our organizing.
Well, with organizing, I just wanted to say the edict that came out, I think it was today on Truth Social, where Donald Trump threatened colleges, stating any college that has illegal protests, and I don't know what illegal protests really means. But I have no idea what that means, will lose their funding. People will be arrested, and foreigners who participate in that will be thrown out of the country. What do you think that'll do to the grassroots as far as putting their bodies out there?
Well, this is directly from the authoritarian handbook, right? So authoritarians, far right bullies, this is what they do. They often target colleges and universities because they're places where there's a lot of free speech. There's a lot of young people with open minds, and there's a lot of intellectual discourse. They want to crush that because they want you to only toe the government line, right? So this is the process. This is part of the process. And I think it's going to actually awaken a lot of students, awaken a lot of faculty. I just saw some faculty release a statement in response to this. So I think what Donald Trump and MAGA don't recognize is that they did not win an overwhelming mandate. Right? They didn't.
Well, they didn't win 50% of the vote, not even 50%. Yeah.
No. And one of my takeaways from the election is that the reason our side didn't make it was that millions of people who knew what time it was, who understood the assignment, who knew Donald Trump was a crook, didn't show up. And that's something that we have to take seriously. And that's something in the next elections we have to remedy. We have to make sure that we have a deep and trusting relationship with everyday working people and that not only do they understand what time it is, but they complete the assignment. And that's our job as organizers. But the reason I say that is that I want to remind people that tens and tens of millions of people did not vote for this man, voted against this man. And he won by the smallest fraction of a margin and did not win more than 50%, which means he's likely to engage in overreach. He's likely to do things that nobody voted for, nobody wanted, even some of the people that voted for him. A significant percentage of the people that voted for him are not MAGA loyalist or MAGA cult-like people. There are people who gave him a shot for all types of reasons I deeply disagree with. Many of those people are second-guessing their decision when they've handed him the ball, and instead of lowering the prices of eggs or lowering the price of basic goods or making their lives easy, he's used that power in order to attack universities, in order to fire workers or simply providing services like Head Start or aid to needy children, right? Just hardworking people who are providing services that we all depend on, or go after his enemies, right? It's been more than a month and he's done nothing. In fact, inflation has increased. The price of eggs have increased, right? So as more and more people recognize that this has been a smash and grab robbery, that's basically what it is on a historic level. A lot of people are going to get in motion. Some of the people that voted for him who aren't Trump loyalists are going to wake up to the fact that they've been played, and they're going to be angry, and they're going to join a growing opposition.
Now, interestingly, you are the leader of the national director, the leader of the Working Families Party, which is not only a grassroots organization, but also it deals with people in the working class, people in the middle class. It seems to me like this is the opportunity. Like, we know with the tariffs being passed, we know that Target having announced today that prices will start, the increase in prices will start within 2 days. We know that car prices, the dealerships have already said their prices will substantially be increased on cars. It seems like this is the perfect time for organizations like yours to not just wake up those who already are in the club, but those who thought or didn't think they were voting for what they're actually going to get.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. It's all theoretical until it's visited on your house.
Right.
Right. The government bureaucrat that you don't know, their job should be eliminated. The government bureaucrat that you do know, they provide essential services to your community. Right. Or if you happen to be that government bureaucrat. Right. Mm-hmm. And so as it's visiting other people's homes, including some of the people that voted for him, absolutely, you're going to see public opinion change. It's already changing. He came in with public opinion that was low, but historically for him, it was higher than his first term. And, because people are like, he has great public opinion. I'm like, well, for him, but it's historically low for a president starting a term. And it's already dissipated. His numbers are already underwater, or in other words, there's more people who disapprove of him than approve of him. And it's going down further and further. People are not friendly to Elon Musk in general. People are not comfortable with the idea that a billionaire is just running around, having access to all of our data, cutting necessary programs. And look, I have to ask people, what do you think he's going to do with that data? Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, do you think that he's somehow going to resist a desire to take that data and feed his AI, his version of AI? Because basically data is king. Mm-hmm. And the thing that could make his version of AI, and he has one, more valuable is if he has access to the greatest data mine in history, which is the
United States government. I mean, he's using Grok. I think his AI is called Grok, if I recall correctly. And what's interesting about that is that it's not only that he has that data, but he has a clearinghouse that he's about to, a financial network that he's trying to put together to rival, let's say, Stripe or any one of these other financial networks. But, going back to the MAGA folks in general are poorer, more working class,
yes,
and more on Medicaid, more dependent on SNAP and all these issues. Now, I don't think they ever thought that they would stand a chance of losing this. How do we approach them to get into that domain?
Sure. This is, I have to say in advance to your audience, right? This isn't everybody's ministry, but for those of us that are willing and able organizers, we seek to approach every working person with a lot of humility and curiosity, right? Because there's an opportunity to scramble the political lines in this moment. When we know that rural communities receive more federal funding than urban communities. And we know many rural counties went to Donald Trump. We know that red states receive more federal aid than blue states, and those red states clearly went to Donald Trump. We know that there are millions and millions of poor people across race that depend on SNAP benefits, that depend on Head Start programs, that depend on Medicaid, across ideology, across party affiliation. These programs support so many people. And so when people voted for the wrecking ball that is Trump and MAGA and Project 2025 to attack the establishment and the institutions, they weren't thinking that wrecking ball will pile through their homes. So when that happens, and we're seeing it in real time, we're seeing it on social media, we're seeing it in the mainstream media, people bewildered and people feeling a sense of betrayal when they realize that Donald Trump has taken their job, has taken their benefits, are risking their livelihood. So when they're in that place, and more people are going to be in that place, we want to have a conversation with them, and we plan to. And again, there's MAGA people who are MAGA cults like MAGA people, and then there's people who voted for Donald Trump for all types of reasons because they believed that he would lower their grocery prices, or they believed that he was going to fight for them, or they wanted to like provide a punch to the establishment, right? A lot of those folks are having second thoughts already, and many more will. And there's an opportunity, I think, to create the biggest mass movement in American history. Because at the end of the day, there are only enough billionaires on the planet to fill a medium to large size high school, a few thousand people on the planet. And this is government by, for, and of the billionaires, which leaves everybody else. So if you're not a billionaire, then you're with us, whether you like it or not. So what are we going to do? How are we going to stand up for our families, for our communities, ourselves, in order to make sure that we could defend ourselves from the billionaire giveaway? The Republican Party passed the most egregious billionaire giveaway in their recent budget bill, where they're going to cut Medicaid, cut Medicare, cut SNAP, cut every single program that so many people across party affiliation depend on. Why? So that they could provide tax cuts to the ultra wealthy. And so my question, regardless of who you voted for in November and whether or not you identify as a Republican or Democrat, conservative or progressive, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it sitting down, or are you going to stand up?
I think that is an excellent point. And I think what is even as important is for these people to realize that it is okay to make a mistake. It is okay to have voted in a way that you just didn't expect. And what I try to tell on my program, and I'm so happy that you said that, there are many people who simply cannot deal with those on the right. They simply cannot deal with MAGA. But some of us must. And especially those of us who are activists, we have to bring these folks into the fold, and we have to give a whole lot of these people a place to land. because that is how you're going to open up, letting them know that they're not going to be alone. In as much as, on my programs, I point out all the time, you have made a bad vote. I have made bad votes. I have made bad decisions. Now, what are you going to do about it? So in closing, Maurice, tell me, what pitch would you make, not only to MAGA, but to all working class folks, as far as not allowing the system to break us, but actually work in harmony, work together?
Well, the thing that I'll say is that for those of you that are interested in fighting waste, fraud, and abuse, for those of you that are frustrated with government, I want people to understand that government is not the problem, right? Government of, by, and for billionaires is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to make sure that we fight for a government of, by, and for the working class. Imagine if we use the tool of government in order to make a real difference in our lives, to make sure that our communities are invested in, to make sure our communities are safe, to make sure that our young people have access to resources and have an opportunity to truly thrive, truly have more than our past generations had. We could do that, but it requires us to come together. And it means that individual activism is fine, but what's more valuable in this moment is for people to join an organization. And you could join any organization. If you're looking for one, I invite anybody who's listening to join the Working Families Party. And with whatever time and space that you have, we will honor that time and space and get you in motion. If you only have a few minutes, there's things that you could do. If you only have an hour or two, we could get you on phone banks, talking to your neighbors and talking to other people to let them know the truth so that they could take action. If you have a lot of time, then we could invite you to run for local office. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. Run for local office, because we believe that everyday working people should govern. Not just millionaires, not just billionaires, but we want to make sure that school boards and city councils and water boards and fire districts and other local offices are filled with working people that are accountable to their community and want to make a difference. Because the school board candidate and the school board member of today will eventually become the city council person or mayor or state senator or congressperson or eventually senator or president of tomorrow. That's something that we know to be true. That's something that the right wing actually famously did a lot of investments in. And we could, in order to push back against the billionaires, we could build from the ground up a movement of working class heroes who are ready to take leadership. And if you're interested, the Working Families Party wants to support that effort with you.
Maurice, what should I have asked you that I didn't?
I think you covered it. I think you covered the moment. Excellent. You did it well.
Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Working Families Party. Thank you so kindly for having been with us here on Politics Done Right and Pacifica Network.
It was good to be here.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.